my first thought is like, am I just not interested
Is it me?
Is it me? Do I just not like games anymore?
Is the world changing or am I changing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the answer is I think the world's changing because I go back and I play games of other eras.
That you're playing for the first time.
I'm playing for the first time and find myself absolutely loving them and having a great time with some games. Hey everybody, welcome to GameSpot After Dark. Happy Friday, y'all. You know, Kurt, I haven't been paying much attention to the news, but I'm pretty sure the Switch 2 pre-orders were supposed to be up this week. Did you get yours?
Did I get mine?
Yeah, did you get yours? I haven't had a chance yet. I figured there'd probably be no issues and I could just grab one later today, maybe.
I talked to somebody, and I may have it locked in.
Okay.
If somebody, maybe I paid $27 for pre-order at a Walmart that they won't reimburse, that they won't charge me the full amount for.
Can you imagine that happening again to you?
Yeah, but hopefully I would actually like the Switch 2. Also, was it? Jake's not here, so I got to do it to a Jean-Luc Seipke. How's that for the Switch 2? Switch to this, motherfucker. Let's go. Hey, everybody. Did you get your Switch 2 pre-order?
No.
They moved
it later today.
All right, they moved it to May 8th.
Is that actually when they moved it to?
Who knows? I'm not sure. I'm switching my way out of this. Bada boom, bada bang.
It's been I'm not gonna say a light week, but a lighter week
in comparison to last week.
In comparison to last week, and how completely ridiculous that was. But
I think a ripple effect is still
the fallout of it is absolutely
leading away, and lots of miscommunication, lots of wrong headlines coming out, and people assuming something's this much when it's actually that much, and tariffs this, tariffs that, being reversed, happening, not happening, switches this price for that reason. Actually, no, it's not for that reason. It's like, it's just a constant fucking bombardment of
turmoil.
People just saying things and publishing things, and I'm not pointing the finger or blaming anyone, but it just is emblematic of just how much information is being vomited constantly, and the inability to be chasing the vomit and not slipping all over the vomit.
Yeah. The best thing I can recommend is to just chill, stay informed, but relax. It's better for you.
Or read.
Ooh.
Look at that. Look at your headline. Read that article. Understand its sources.
What if I want to read some notes in a video game and solve some puzzles?
Oh, I got a game for you.
Yeah?
Called Lorelei and the Laser Eye.
Oh, my God.
Just kidding.
That game's pretty good.
I got another one. It's called Myst. Gotcha.
You got me. So, yeah, the big game of the week.
I would say that is the big thing
this week. The big thing this week is Blueprints, which people have been raving about.
Not us, you and me, but GameSpot, the publication.
Publication, Giant Bomb.
Steve Watts, our reviewer who gave the game a 9 out of 10.
We had Dan Reichert on the GameSpot show, and he was saying game of the year so far for him.
Yeah, Dan Reichert's whole thing was like, I can't talk about this game because if I say something, I'll spoil it. No matter what, I'm gonna end up spoiling something. Dan, you talked for 16 minutes straight, and you didn't give shit away because I only just started playing that game last night after it spoken. All you did was just really eloquently explain how that game works.
Yeah. For those who have not seen that segment, how does the game work?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. I want to hear your summary. How would you describe Blueprints for those not in the know?
I would say the easiest way to explain the game is kind of works like a cardboard game, in the way that you move within a world, you move within a mansion, room by room, and those rooms kind of work like tiles. And every single time you exit a room to go to another room, you're given a random selection of 3 rooms to choose where that goes.
Sort of random. Not actually as random as you might think.
Well, here's Jean-Luc dropping knowledge I didn't quite know. Bim bam boom slim bam wham. So
playing.
But the objective of the game is old British man is like, I love puzzles. Here, my person that I'm blood related to have It's the old
This is-
fucking
Grandpa dies. He leaves the nephew as his sole heir. To his
which is
estate.
like I've played enough hidden object puzzle adventure
Yeah.
games where that plot has been like thrown around 600 fucking times.
I will say, as a theme people say about this game, there's more to it than that.
It's an old bait and switch as it seems.
I have hit a point in that game now where I've
You kind of get it.
what?
You kind of understand what the bait and switch is. I also have not finished what's going
little
on.
bit.
I haven't finished what the game, how the game plays, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you should finish that.
I'll get to that to the smallest point, but basically the objective is you have to get to room 46.
Yes.
And you do that, and you are given a map tile system, and you have to do that, and it's done in a roguelike way in which you can only go, like, each time you move through a room, it counts as a step.
Yep.
Which is like action points, basically.
Yeah.
And every day you're given 50 steps, which means you're only allowed to move in and out of those rooms 50 times. There's buffs depending on the rooms you choose that give you more steps and all that jazz.
You can find food and yes.
But at the end, basically, if either you run out of steps or you fuck yourself and you can't progress any further because the way you laid your shit out, and you have to end your day. And when you wake up the next day, the whole thing is reset and you have to go back to it.
Yep.
So yes, now take it that there's more to that meets the eye of this game, and it seems like common consensus is like, myself included, it takes I think it takes an abnormally long time to really get your bearings with what's going on.
Yeah.
It's relying a lot on an intellectual intrigue. Basically the blind faith of, don't worry, there's more, but that takes, from what I can tell, several hours until you kind of understand what's happening.
Is my biggest criticism of the game, is that I think this game kind of can take a minute to get to it, and that can also vary depending on what you find because of the randomization of the roguelike element. So, like, Jake, for example, found a room that was like, oh, I found this room and it finally opened up all this stuff for me, and I think he found it like 7-8 days in. I found it on my first day. And so that kind of, I had more context than he did, and I think that is cool, but also it can be like extremely frustrating with this game in a way that is like, every time I hit a moment where I feel like, oh man, this run is just going so great, there'll just be a thing that happens that just completely kills the momentum of the run.
And well, I mean, like puzzles too, like, because like I won't, like, talk about that a bit, because I'm not you've played more than I have. Like, what is it like to discover something that suddenly have an epiphany moment, like, oh, I understand this now. Right. Now I have to go do this thing.
Yes.
But then you kind of realize you might have to do a whole nother day again.
Yeah. So, like, there will be, because at first glance you're like, oh, okay, I just gotta go through each room, and each room has like a gimmick, but there's more to each room than at first appears, and rooms will have hints to puzzles in other rooms, or they'll have their own puzzle to them that you'll eventually figure out. So what happened to me yesterday is a perfect example, and I'll be vague, so I won't spoil it too much, but there was a room we found that was like presented a mystery, and that mystery requires you to go check a bunch of different rooms, and it was really exciting. It was like, oh, like we're just like, yeah, like this is like, it's fire your brain's firing on all synapses, and it feels great, and you're like, this is like the game at its best, and why I love games like these, where I'm just like, oh, this feels great, and we're like, let's go, because it was right at the end of our run, so we had already kind of exhausted how much we could rooms we could unlock.
So what does that? And then what does that mean? Like, when you say exhausted, it means like
basically
hit dead ends.
We hit dead ends, or all the doors were locked, and we had no more keys and gems.
So that's another part of this game, is like you have to kind of design your runs very deliberately and carefully, because some rooms will give you gems, which are required to build other rooms. Some rooms will give you keys, which are required to unlock doors, but you're not always sure when those locked doors are going to pop up.
Yes.
So
there's certain things.
There's hints
they give you, but
tell you about.
There is a level of randomization still to it. So because we're like, well, we've gotten pretty far, but we were like ready to end the run, and then we're like, well, this is the last room. We checked it, found this puzzle that was like, hey, you can go check a bunch of the rooms you were previously in, and we had enough steps that we could go all the way back through and check all the rooms again. And we're like, awesome. So we spent like a good 30 minutes like going through each room and grabbing the little pieces we need for this puzzle because we now had context for what it was, and it felt awesome. We did all that, hit the dead end. We're like, okay, these are now the places that we haven't got to check because we didn't unlock those rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Next run, we'll prioritize going to those rooms. We're going to like beeline it for those rooms only so that we can get this puzzle because we're feeling great about it. We want to solve it and you know, keep this momentum going. Very quickly, we realized that didn't really work because the game, as you progress further into the house, it becomes more difficult where more of the doors will be locked, you know, either through the keys or the gems or what have you. So we actually ended our run extremely early. We kind of like screwed ourselves. We're like, oh, when we didn't make any progress. We're like, well, that sucks. But it was this learning lesson of like, oh, okay, well, I think it's because, you know, because we just rushed it, we didn't give ourselves the chance to sort of like build up our resources of keys and gems. So next run, we'll really take our time and we'll go through all the early rooms that we did to build up all our resources so we can then unlock the later rooms. And then we still just got stuck and didn't make any progress because we just happened to get bad rolls and couldn't do anything, even though we were taking it very cautiously.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just really, really frustrating.
A real epiphany cock block.
Yes, because like
you're like right on the edge. You're like, I know what I gotta do. I'm gonna figure it out, and then all that momentum is sucked out.
It is completely sucked out. And you know, games like Myst or games like Lorelei,
when you have that epiphany and you go to that moment and you put it in, you're like, yes, fuck, I'm a fucking genius.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
fucking brilliant.
And this game, it's like I know exactly what to do, but I just
have to wait.
I have to wait and hope that things get into the right place. And again, there are, as you progress, you'll find things that like help you manipulate it, and you know, you have to kind of be smart about like, okay, like I know I can sort of get certain rooms to appear in certain places or this and that. And I think there is like a satisfaction in doing that on its own. But you also have that mental cock block, like you said, right?
Blueprints, more like
say it.
Blue balls.
Hey.
Anyways,
you know, it took me way too long to figure out the pun in the name.
Well, it took me 2 seconds to figure out what that game should have been called instead of Blueprints.
I do.
Do we know why do you know why the prince is the character? Is that you play as like like the kid? I finally like got a good look at what the character you play as. He looks like a sad newspaper boy.
He does kind of, yeah. I don't know why.
Like, papers.
I don't know why he's. I don't know why
Blueprints.
he's the Blueprints, or if he even is the Blueprints. I have no idea. I'm not.
Papers here. Your cock block is of the day.
I might have a theory though, because they have introduced color seems to be somewhat of a theme.
That they kidnapped a poor newspaper boy and shoved him in a fucked up house he's going to have to live in a tent outside of. You can't. That's another thing. First thing you find a note that's like, by the way, you can't stay in the house overnight. Fuckhead, go sleep outside with the dogs in a goddamn tent. I mean, camping's great and all, but
maybe your uncle's or your grandfather's not as cool as, you know, makes himself out to be.
Real asshole. And then I'd be like, fuck you, I'm done.
I don't want it.
I don't want this fucking. Why would I inherit this fucking this mansion if every single fucking day it changes? Then I gotta go like walk into a kitchen and find a single apple on the grocery list that I go take care of, and then I have to wait a whole fucking other day to go take care of it. I'd be like, give this the next heir. Is that what they call it? Heir?
Heir, yes.
Yeah, give the next heir. And have him fuck up your goddamn mansion, and he could be your red prince. I know there's a whole thing with red and blue in that game, so and green and purple.
Yep.
And
some colors.
Yellow.
It is a cool game. I am having a good time with it. And the more I play, I would say I simultaneously have a better time with it, but then I also get more put off by the parts where it is preventing me from having those aha moments,
which I think is
that I so desperately crave.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that is a criticism that Steve Watts puts under his cons. Like, you kind of just have to wait sometimes for the puzzles to kind of figure themselves out.
Yeah.
So I put about a little over 2.5 hours, close to 3 hours into the game. And I know I've heard from Dan and everyone else under the sun that the game doesn't quite stick in its first hour or two. It just seems like that's par for the course. That isn't so much my issue. It's like I think like the appeal of the game is this sort of, for a lot of people, I think, is mechanical. It's like the idea of like unlocking things and trying to get further with this, with the chance of things. That's in the nature of roguelikes that I do not like. I don't like purely playing on chance. And I do know that this is like a knowledge-based game. The more you learn, the more the game kind of unravels in its own way. That being said, it is heavily reliant on the pure intrigue of what's going on rather than actually feeding me a nugget of something that seems like I'd give any fucking shits about.
It very much is. Yes.
So, and that is my biggest struggle with the game, is that at this point, it's like I'll carve in a little bit more time, but at face, if it wasn't for everyone around me being like, you have to give it more time, I would have played this game and be like, I am bored out of my mind.
Because the mechanical satisfaction's
not there. And like, as somebody who is a puzzle snob, we all know all I do is play hidden object puzzle adventure games. That is my jam. Yeah. I've just like, it's just not tickling that part of my brain. Also, there's a few puzzles I figured out on my own without getting the clues or hints in other rooms. But I think that is a part of my hidden object puzzle brain. Okay. Where I was like,
I'm so curious what those are.
I did it from trial and error by understanding just what
the way it works.
Yeah, and I'd be like, I've done 6 million versions of these in other puzzle adventure games where it's like you're basically forced to have to figure it out with nothing.
Yeah.
There's only one other puzzle that I've encountered that I was like, I can tell I don't have the knowledge to understand this yet.
Sure.
But a few other ones I've just figured out.
Cool.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a little bit more time. I'm going to give it a little bit more time. Everyone's raving about it. It's Dan Reichert's game of the year so far. If you watch the GameSpot show on the Power Block, you'll know that Dan Reichert dethroned Adam Fall, which was the top of the list of that of the power ranking Power Board, and now Blueprints is at the top.
Blueprints. Yeah.
Just be ready for it to trample all over your epiphanies, maybe. At least in your case.
I am excited to give it more time, but there is also the part of me that thinks about how exhausting it can be sometimes, especially because people say it like, "Oh, I've been playing it for 40 hours,
200 hours,"
and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to play a game that long now.
But at that point, I think it's that roguelike sort of thing where it's like Dan Reichert was explaining that he had already seen a credit screen, but you can keep going because there's mysteries he had not solved yet.
And maybe I'll get to the end and feel satisfied.
Yeah,
I don't need to solve all the mysteries.
What's your favorite room?
My favorite room
that you've encountered without spoiling a big deal room.
Ooh, okay. Favorite room. I'm thinking about it. Well, because I'm thinking like, is there... Okay, well, if I had to pick a room that I'd want in my house, like if I could like take one of these rooms and put it in my own house, it would probably be the library.
The multiple floored.
Yeah, just because I like having a library.
Podiums in the corner.
But I do quite like their I forget what the name of it is. The Rumpus Room. I like the Rumpus Room.
I don't think I got the Rumpus Room yet. Oh wait, is that like the fun room?
Yeah, it's the fun room, and there's like a thing you put a coin in.
Oh yeah, I got there.
Okay.
That guy told me a story, and I didn't give a shit. That machine.
Yeah. I got there too. Seems like a fun little room.
I
also like that of a Rumpus Room.
Rumpus like, we're gonna go and rump around in the Rumpus Room.
Yeah.
Let's show me your rump in the Rumpus Room. Let's touch rumps. That's what I imagined. Let's rump it up in the Rumpet Room. That's how they talk in the game too. The newspaper boy you play as.
Yeah.
The extra.
That's the only line he says.
We're rumping it up. Yeah, whenever you walk into the Rumpus Room, there's a little thing, like, because each room says like, oh, you'll lose a step if you enter this room, or you'll lose a coin. This room's, you'll just rump it up. And you walk in, he's like, it's rumpin' time. That's what he says. I'm the Blueprints. Let's touch rumps. That's what my grandpa always said to me when I inherited his mansion. And then I was like, Grandpa.
So is that your favorite room?
Oh no, definitely not. Absolutely not. Don't put me near your rumpus. I don't want to be I was only doing what the game does. I wasn't saying I was interested in touching rumps.
Oh, of course.
No, in that game, I don't want your rump. Get your rump away from me. My favorite room, I like a good bathroom, laboratory.
Oh yeah.
And I like just a very safe passageway.
Oh yes.
Just an unfinished wall.
That
leads to somewhere else, and you always know it's going to go.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
It's very satisfying.
So, that's my favorite room.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite color?
Favorite color? My favorite color is like a maroon.
Is that in?
Not really.
Okay.
Their red's pretty standard.
Yeah.
Red, cherry red.
Rump it on out of here then.
Yeah. No. Yeah, like a maroon or a purple.
Well, purple's in the game.
It's purple, but it's not quite the purple I like.
And I know what it means in the darts game. Anyways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that darts game. I don't like that darts game.
Nor do I.
Because
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. No. It's we'll move on from blueprints. But the reason I don't like that is because it's a roguelike thing again. It's like you did it and you're like, cool. Every time you restart, you have to do this again. You don't have to technically, but you should because it gives you stuff. And it feels less like a cool puzzle and more like busy work.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't fun anymore. This has become actual math class.
Yeah. I'm interested to get to the point when I know how the mechanics are feeding into the narrative, because right now I have no idea and I don't even know what the narrative is other than here's a mansion for you, boy. Anyways, enough of that.
Yeah. All right.
I'm blue in the face talking about it until I play more and I'm like, oh my God. Or like, oh my God. Like,
So that's been the big
one.
The new game.
Yeah.
We're not just playing new games over here.
Not in this neck of the woods.
Not here.
This is after dark.
Because we don't like video games this year, so we're playing old games.
When the lights go down and we need to feel something, we pick out something from the bucket. The old bucket. And if you didn't watch last week's episode, we have the bucket as a giant thing of hundreds of PS2 and Xbox games that we could just shove our hand in, pull something out, and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been playing. And deliberately, if this is important, not playing games I've played before.
Yes.
Old games that are new to you.
So,
that's an important experience.
I agree. And I feel like this does bring up something I kind of wanted to talk to you about, which is I think you and me and a few other people around us we've talked to have collectively felt sort of this lack of interest in a lot of games that have come out this year, I would say. Just and when it happens to me, my first thought is like, am I just not interested
is it me?
Is it me? Do I just not like games anymore?
Is the world changing or am I changing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the answer is I think the world's changing because I go back and I play some games of other eras
that you're playing for the first time.
I'm playing for the first time or never really played all the way through or properly gave a shot and find myself absolutely loving them and having a great time with some games. So I'm like, okay, I'm not just tired of games.
That's me and Pete for the show.
It's just that right now there's not the right kind of games coming out for me.
Adamfall is an outlier.
To be fair, Adamfall an outlier. Blueprints I'm enjoying enough. I did like Monster Hunter Wilds, although it has not held my attention the way World did, and I'm not fully sure why that is quite the case. But
you've been down that road.
That might be it. It could be as simple as just like I put all my points in a world, and when Wild is more of the same. But like it's a good game. It's just not quite grabbing me. But yeah, like nothing else this year has really kept my
So the Shrek
attention.
game.
Except for the Shrek video game.
Yeah.
That did not keep my attention.
But what's the croc game?
Yeah, I mean, I played that. That's an old game I played.
Sopranos.
Yep, played that one too.
I'm going down the list of all your favorite old games.
All my favorite old
games you played anew.
No, my favorite old game that I played was F.E.A.R.
Which you've played before.
But I never finished.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. I actually didn't know that.
I never finished it. I played it, and loved it, but I never finished it. And the reason I never finished it is because it just wouldn't. I couldn't finish it because my computer would just kind of like freak out.
It feared the fear.
Yeah, it feared the fear. it was like, oh, this game's too spooky.
Too afraid. It's too afraid. It's like, oh,
I didn't like it.
Hallway filled with blood.
Oh,
not
no.
for this guy. Click. Shut down.
For those who don't know or don't remember, F.E.A.R is the it was made by Monolith. Rest in peace, Monolith. Got down this year. It's part of the reason why I wanted to play it. I was like, I should finally go back and play that game all the way through and see it to the end. I'm so glad I did. A first-person shooter inspired by John Woo films, The Matrix, and then also like The Ring and Grudge.
Yeah,
like we said they watched a
we're
bunch
gonna take
of movies.
bullet time and everything blows up when you shoot it, and we're gonna shove it with long-haired spooky girl coming out of well or hallway.
It sounds on paper like such a stupid mismatch, but it like works really well actually.
Well, they fucking threaded the needle with it. Like,
I think they did.
Perfect.
I think the balance of spooky girl ghost stuff to like crazy action is pretty good. I would say it's about like 60-70% action, 30% spooks. And those spooks are sometimes it can be a little like gotcha,
jump scary,
but for the most part it's way more subtle. It's a lot of more just like tension building.
Yeah, it's
atmosphere.
the game. Even in its action moments, that game has such a specific tone that you would only associate with horror, because like you're always in narrow corridors. It's dark as fuck. There's very little lighting.
All the lighting is like that
hard
harsh
lines,
black lines. The lighting in that game holds up extremely well.
So like the aesthetic and atmosphere of that game is dark and hard. And when you get into a gunfight, it doesn't feel like a power. In a weird way, it is power fantasy because you can go in slow motion, you can like jump kicks and all this shit. But like the enemies don't feel like these sponges that you are just like mowing through. Like they feel tactical, and they could like outsmart you and outflank you in ways. So it's like a really cool balance. And then in between these, you have like these horror moments that kind of creep up on you, or maybe cheap in some ways, like jump scary. But they thread this needle of like, you have a machine gun, you can go in slow motion, and like things feel cool, but also like there's like a refrain in it. Like there's like something doesn't feel as like over the top as you would say maybe in a Max Payne or something. Even though I make the argument that the first Max Payne is a scary, weird fucking game, even some shootout. So
I would kind of compare it a lot to the first Max Payne in that sense, where it does have that kind of like balances out the action with the weird, quiet kind of creepiness. I think this does it more so than Max Payne.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I don't think Max Payne was. I'm not going to speak for Remedy, but I don't know if they were entirely aware of
the tone
of how that tone was at the time.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, you're like, whoa, this feels fucking creepy and weird.
For sure. Yeah. But man, like part of the reason I think F.E.A.R resonated with me so much, and I would recommend anyone play it, is because there is just not a game that feels anything quite like that first F.E.A.R.
I agree,
and that is including its sequels.
So why do you think that? Why do you think nothing today? You haven't played anything since F.E.A.R 1. Like what? Like is it like what are the very specific things that you just don't think other first-person shooters have leaned into?
So one, there is the speed of the gunfights. If you don't use the slow-mo, everything happens so quickly. It is chaotic. And you have the enemies who are like barking at you and
throwing grenades, like, shouting at each other like where you are.
Exactly. It's like there's been a lot said about like the AI in F.E.A.R, but like a lot of it has to do with just the way they like communicate and they say things out loud, and it's so specific. They recorded like 1 billion different lines for, like he's over there behind the vending machine under the desk.
Well, that's the thing. It's not just like he's hiding. It's like very specific things, right? Like for example, like if you are hiding behind a fridge, they will say like he's behind the fridge in that corner. So it creates this sense of tension that you don't get from other games,
right?
Where they're like they know where you are. You like the AI makes it very clearly like vocally aware of where you are.
So everything moves so quick. you go down very quick. The enemies also can go down pretty quick as well, and it creates this just like really intense, like where you're like, I have to rely on the slow-mo. The slow-mo also like looks awesome.
And the
Just
fucking the way the sound like drags out too when you hear a soldier like like just like totally disintegrate in
yeah,
that
and they have this sort of color like aberration like kind of like effect, and it really sells the slow-mo like in the visuals. And then there's the part where all the particle effects, this
is where the John Woo influence
comes in. Like if you've seen Hard Boiled, and there's like the tea house
the opening
scene,
scene, which is flour and feathers and sparks. And
it's like every gunfight is like that, where it's like you don't just make a bullet hole in a wall, you destroy the concrete, and the dust from the concrete is filling up the room and then makes it hazy and it's hard to see, and there's like sparks flying everywhere, papers are going off,
pigeons are just flying into gunfire for no reason.
That would be amazing.
Blood and feathers are exploding everywhere,
and
everyone's like, where the fuck is he? He's covered in feathers.
And the blood, like, because the environments are all these very stark white office hallways, and the blood is like this deep red that just completely paints the wall when you shoot enemies.
And again, narrow corridors, small spaces, like very tight.
It just, every fight feels so like, it feels like it could be the final fight of any other game. Like just like the level of chaos happening. It's so good. And that is something that like, you know, it's funny because when I played F.E.A.R 2, I had actually played it first, or I had attempted to play F.E.A.R 1. And at the time, I was like, this is a pretty cool game, you know. Spooky
Remember
girl.
the jump kick was like much more polished looking, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, there's
like,
also a jump kick in this game, and the jump kick is so stupid. It's 2 kicks. On harder difficulties, it's like you shouldn't even be attempting to do it, but you want to anyway, because it's like a one-hit kill, and it's like the dumbest thing.
Like running through in like slow motion and jumping, you just don't do a full kick. It's like, I'm fucking kicking.
Yeah, you do like 2-3 kicks, and you're like, bum, 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 and the enemy's like ragdoll, and they're like, oh, it's so good. It's incredible. So F.E.A.R 2. It went for like a cleaner, polished cinematic shooter look. AI is not as smart. The lighting is
still Monolith.
It's still Monolith. The lighting
was WB
not as good.
Involved in the first one or no?
No, WB was not involved in the first one. WB was involved in the second one. Forget who was involved in the first. I think it was Vivendi, because there was a whole thing where the expansion packs for F.E.A.R 1 were developed by different teams because Vivendi still owned the rights. But I think when Vivendi was imploding, because originally F.E.A.R 2 was not going to be called F.E.A.R 2 because they owned the rights.
It was going to be called
F.E.A.R
again.
It was just going to be called Project Origin.
Oh, okay.
Because they owned like the rights to the story, but they didn't own the rights to the name.
Oh, interesting.
But then when Vivendi imploded, they like got the rights back and were like, oh, we're going to call it F.E.A.R 2 Project Origin. But like that game is, in retrospect, at the time felt fine. When I actually went back and played F.E.A.R 1, I realized, oh, F.E.A.R 2 was just kind of a retread of F.E.A.R 1, but worse in every way.
Just water it down and put outside.
Exactly. And like I look back on that game very negatively, where I'm just like, this game doesn't need to exist. There's no reason to play F.E.A.R 2. And then F.E.A.R 3, I think it's just like a fucking train wreck of a video game. That game sucks. The game
was that also made by Monolith or no?
No, that was not made by Monolith. It was produced by John Carpenter.
Well, I'm sure John Carpenter like came in, ate a fucking jar of grape jelly, and was like, yeah, make they got guns? Spook? Okay, bye. I mean, like the dude, at that time, John Carpenter was like probably past like Ghost of Mars, which is a fucking pile of shit. And I think he was like, I'm just gonna go home, smoke weed, and play Halo.
There's a I'm not gonna get this quote 100% right. So, but there was an interview with him about F.E.A.R 3 where the person was like talking about like, how do you feel about like sexualization in video games? Because in F.E.A.R 3 there's like a naked pregnant ghost lady in it. It's so stupid. He's like, you know, like the representation of sex in video game. And then John Carpenter kind of just goes off about, he's like, oh, I remember playing God of War, and you have the sex mini game where you hit the button to sleep with the women, and he's like, I sure did hit that button.
So what happened? Why wasn't that in F.E.A.R 3? Either the woman's trying to give birth, and you got to mash that button. You got to help it. Anyways, but
Psychic ghost contractions. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. If you want to, you've told me. I've never played F.E.A.R 3. You've told me what happens.
Oh yeah,
in that game.
It's awful.
I highly recommend that people go read up on it.
It's really stupid.
It's absurd.
Yeah.
It's
in the end of F.E.A.R 2, also stupid.
Yeah. Well. Yeah.
Very, very dumb. But F.E.A.R 1.
Also, hold on.
Rules.
Remember when, speaking of John Carpenter and video games?
Yeah.
Remember when that game was announced at either Summer Game Fest or Game Awards?
Oh,
2 years ago?
It was like John Carpenter's something.
It was literally like John Carpenter's open world zombie game.
Yeah. Did that ever come out?
Nope. As far as I know. I don't think it did. He's probably too busy mashing a button. He's like, I'm pressing that button. It'll come out when it comes out. I got a button to mash on this PS2 God of War game where there's a sex mini game.
I bet you if you asked him, would he even remember?
Be like, what?
You're like, what?
Dead Space is cool. Yeah, we all know.
Borderlands 2?
And by the way, he's on tour right now.
Wait, do music again?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, not on tour, but he's doing a soundtrack for a movie. I think Bong Joon-ho's next film or some shit.
Oh, okay. Because he used to go around and do tours where he
does tours
where he would do his music.
Yeah, he just got off a tour. I'm pretty sure.
Oh fuck! Because I was trying to look that up recently, and I couldn't. Granted, it was maybe a year ago, but I was like, oh, I've always wanted to see him.
No, because we wanted to get
live.
him. We wanted to get him for Star Players.
Oh.
At one point,
shit.
and he was on tour, and he did a "What's in My Bag" with Amoeba, to kind of advertise that he was on tour. And while his two bandmates were pulling out 70s rock, prog rock records, it would cut to John Carpenter, and he'd be like, "Here, I got the Horizon Zero Dawn soundtrack on vinyl. It's a good game, good graphics. Yeah." And then he would put that down.
Interesting one.
It's a great soundtrack. Put it down.
Okay.
And then the next one would be another video game soundtrack. He's like, "This is the Last of Us.
Croc.
This is
The Croc soundtrack.
This is the F.E.A.R 3 soundtrack." I don't remember. Never played this game.
I don't even know much about it.
My name's on it, huh? Don't remember. I was too busy pressing that button.
I've always wanted to see John Carpenter live before he dies.
Oh,
I thought I missed my chance, but apparently I haven't, so I should really get on that.
He's not moving much. I mean, he does his tours. He's on tour. I'm pretty sure he just got a tour.
All right, then.
He's gonna do.
I don't know what websites I was looking at.
His little synthy beats, and I'm almost positive he's doing the soundtrack for a new film by somebody that's not him.
Cool,
which is great.
That's
for
great.
him. Because,
he should do that.
He hasn't made a good movie in a long time.
I don't know. He should just keep doing soundtracks and
video games and
they should keep making bad Halloween movies so that he keeps getting royalties.
He's just like, hell yeah, keep it coming. Which he's been pretty vocal about.
Yeah.
So he was like, oh yeah, here it comes. Come on.
Yeah.
So he can continue to watch basketball and play God of War for the PS2.
Yep. Anyway, F.E.A.R. Good game. I do recommend it.
But I do want to go back to one thing you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can touch on it briefly so we don't come off like grumpy old cynical folk. But the idea of playing things, not finding things this year that are really tickling you.
Yeah.
And whether or not it's the world's changing or we're changing. And I alluded to but I do want to kind of pick at that for a second because I deal with it. You're dealing with it. I know Jake Tucker has mentioned it.
I'm curious.
I would like to if other people are feeling as though they're not feeling inspired or over or engaged with the things that they're playing these days. That does seem to be a common consensus. But I'm curious. We live in sort of a bubble of how we consume media. And I'm
sure it's a bunch of factors. I'm sure our age has something to do with it.
Sure. And we're privileged enough that we are exposed to basically everything that comes out one way or another. But it's not just games. I've been experiencing this with music for a long time for the past year now, especially as I try to stay up on new music, and I just see this constant sort of imitation of other things instead of something new. So I too like games. Even though I listen to all music from all eras and decades, I do find myself finding things that I'm excited about that are older that I've never heard before, but I'm hearing for the first time.
Right.
So it just happened to me this week where it's I go down this rabbit hole of there's this band I kind of like. what's this, like, where's this stem from? Who's doing this? And then I find like another band from another subgenre or some shit from the 80s. I'm like, what the fuck? I've never heard this before. So it's the same thing. I'm experiencing the same thing, but with music and as much as I do with games. So it's
like that's the thing is there's so much music and there's so much movies and so much games that you've probably never played or read or heard or whatever, right? And that like, if you're not feeling what's happening right now, what's being presented in front of you,
there is a lot of shit you have never heard, never seen, and never played.
And in the case of games, you could get real cheap.
Yeah.
I got F.E.A.R. 1 for $1
on GOG and PC.
On PC.
Which is important to note.
Right, it is.
That's not the same case for some console games.
No. Yeah, you definitely, I would say the PC's the place to go for bargain hunting for sure. But if you are open your heart to being like, let me check out a game that I've never heard of or experienced or always wanted to see what the deal was, like you can get some really cool stuff at a real cheap price on the PC. And
is it GOG or GOG? I've always called it GOG.
I've always called it, I think I go back and forth, but sometimes
I've heard you say GOG.
I've said GOG. Good old games.
GOG it up.
Gotta
GOG it up in the rumpus room.
Yep.
Go to the rumpus room and I'm going to GOG all over the place.
They're honestly, I've been kind of using their compatibility preservation program as sort of like a way to kind of be like, oh, maybe I should check. Because that's what F.E.A.R. was. F.E.A.R. was added to their compatibility program. As I mentioned up front, the reason I never finished it is because I couldn't play it on
your
PC.
PC was too scared.
My PC was too scared, and then GOG says, don't worry, we got it. We'll patch that out. Now my PC's not scared anymore. It can handle it.
Here we go.
So that's cool. It's that game's now more accessible for more people. They recently did a patch for Silent Hill 4 on PC, The Room, which is really interesting because, and I did not know this at all because I was like, oh, okay, like I don't even know that game had a PC version. Apparently that PC version was like the inferior version to the console version because it was straight up like missing stuff. Like it was an incomplete version of that game that got released. But it was like in there, just like the code wasn't like enabled correctly.
Delete a decimal point.
Yeah, or something like that. And so when GOG was like, hey, we're going to re-release this game, they like went in and like re-enabled that stuff. So now that version is like probably the most accessible,
way to play it.
Best way to play it.
I was going to buy it on GOG. It
was $6 when they announced it.
And I stopped myself because I was looking at the reviews on the site and they were saying that like there were certain incompatible issues like control-wise.
Still happening?
And, like, not recently, like back, like...
Oh, well, they actually fixed that as well.
That's what I'm talking about. Like when Silent Hill 2 Remake came out, I was kind of, looking to... because I never played Silent Hill 4. The Room. Tommy Wiseau, Silent Hill, The Room. But now that they've done that, and it looks like it's fixed. Although, I mean, I do have a copy of it at home now. But that
thanks to our bucket.
Thanks to the bucket did have a copy of it, so I will experience that finally and see what this controversial Silent Hill game is all about.
Yeah, the last one the original team worked on.
Yeah,
so. I'm curious about it. I would like to eventually, because I did pick up the GOG version. I do plan to play it, but I'm actually playing Silent Hill 1 right now, which is another game I never finished.
Yeah.
I'm kind of just being like, I should go back and finish some games I never got around to.
Yeah.
Beating. It's okay. I don't know. It's not, I like it. There are things that I appreciate about it. It's, I don't know.
This might sound stupid, but I think the first Silent Hill is actually more fun is actually an enjoyable game to play.
No, I do.
Versus the original Silent Hill 2, which I do not find to be an enjoyable playing experience.
Sure.
But playing Silent Hill 1, I was like, I'm kicking these fucking little baby weirdos in the school. Which, by the way, did you know about the whole thing with the school?
Oh, where it's
Kindergarten Cop?
From Kindergarten Cop?
Yeah. It's absolutely fucking absurd.
Yeah.
Then they exist in the same universe.
Is that like what is?
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, isn't the main character? No, I wouldn't check out. Isn't the main character of Silent Hill 1 wearing like a brown jacket?
Yes.
And like blue jeans?
So you're telling me Harry Mason's actually just
Arnold
Schwarzenegger's character
kicking kids? You're stuck in the nightmare world. He wishes he was actually living. so he could.
You do kick like weird demon kids in that game.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying. Silent Hill 1 is just is actually the nightmare that Kindergarten Cop
It's experiencing.
never left.
Okay.
Yeah, he's that town of Silent Hill, and he's like that movie. The movie ends with a version of him like killing the abusive dad with the ferrets, with the kid with the ferrets in his jacket. But in actuality, he's still stuck there. That's the other version, but in reality, he's still there kicking the shit out of kids.
That's a more engaging story.
Yeah. Well, who is your daddy and what does he do? I don't give a shit, kid.
That's a more engaging story to me than the story of Silent Hill 1.
Because this one's not psychological horror. It's like,
I'm an old lady. Yeah.
I'm in a town, a cult.
I think where Silent Hill 2, it's like that game's weird.
Took some liberties based on the plot of the first game.
Sure. You know, like people say like, oh, the dialogue on that game is so like weird and awkward and stilted. But like, I do think that there's like, it's going for something where Silent Hill 1's dialogue feels more like actually just not very well written and acted, in my opinion. I think that still has a charm to it, and I'm having a fun time with it, but I'm not really like taking anything away from its story. I'm not like, oh man, the cop lady, Cheryl? No, Cheryl's the daughter. I don't even remember. Sybil? See, I can't remember. That's how much I'm
compelling.
It's compelling to me.
So are you going to finish it?
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Why?
Well, because I'm enjoying the game.
Okay, all right. Because I was like,
no, like it's not. No. To be clear, I like the game. It's fun. I agree. It actually is a very playable PlayStation 1 game. Like you'd think it would be like, oh man, this is like so archaic, and I'm like, no. Like that game is like fun to play. It's like that loop of going into like a new building
and unraveling
it
room by room.
Unraveling it room by room is like incredibly satisfying.
Kind of like Blueprints.
You know what? What if Blueprints just turned into a Silent Hill game?
Then I'd be like, this is like every other game that's ever fucking come on the past 5 years, where it's just like, it's a psychological horror game.
Like
Sorry,
one
kids.
of the 3 rooms is just called The Room, and then suddenly you're in Silent Hill 4?
Yeah. I mean, I've said that every hidden object puzzle adventure game I played is secretly a Silent Hill game.
I don't know if this has been done or pitched or an idea. I do kind of have what if you had a game like Blueprints, but every room you go into is a different video game?
I mean, that'd be sick.
And you're constantly shifting between video games, and then eventually the video games you can take items from one game and bring it into the other game, and then the games start to blend together
and become a mess of a game.
It becomes a different game.
It becomes everything.
That's a game idea. Someone should make.
Why did you say that publicly?
Because I'm never gonna make it.
Well, I got game ideas I'm never gonna talk about.
Okay, that's fair. Are you ever make them? Or
you never know.
Okay, that's fair. Maybe I'll make that. Maybe I'll make my game.
Yeah, do it quick. You only got 1 day.
I got no time because this is live.
So you have
too late.
So you're gonna play Silent Hill all the way through.
All the way through, almost.
Despite not enjoying the story, but it's at least playable enough.
But I also don't think that matters. At least for me. Like it doesn't detract my experience with that game.
Yeah.
It's just
Would you say that it's tickling you more than new games?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I would say so, because I think, but I would also, I think it's just because it's like this a curio for me more.
Yeah.
Like I find that more interesting, where I'm like, oh, I want to see what that's about, and like, as opposed to, like I guess if it didn't have that element to it, maybe it would be kind of meh or miss for me. I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah.
I go to sleep every night recently.
Okay. You go to, as opposed to before where you didn't?
The end. No, every night before I go to sleep, I've been popping on an old game.
I was going to ask. Yes, I'd like to hear about your old games.
The one that I've been playing recently, which I think I might give up on after like 3 nights,
okay,
is the Godfather game. The game that Jake Decker played because his parents didn't allow him to play Grand Theft Auto games. However, this game is like just as fucked up. Like, as most Grand Theft Auto games, and I would say,
isn't that so funny how that works?
To some degree, there is shit you can do in this game that feels worse than anything I've done in like a San Andreas, Vice City, or Grand Theft Auto 3.
And those old Grand Theft Autos, in my opinion, they're very silly.
Yeah, they're very silly. Grand Theft Auto, The Godfather has no levity.
Well, because it's The Godfather.
Yeah, like, and that's what I'm saying. You're doing things, and it feels like wrong. Like it's weird to be like, oh well, when you play a Grand Theft Auto game, you are a bad guy. Like no matter how you see it, you are doing bad things.
Sure.
Like you're committing criminal acts, and most of those times it involves you probably killing other people, police officers, so on and so forth. But like you buy into the idea that you're playing a criminal, but usually you're surrounded around the fact that it is like sarcastic, satirical, and goofy to some degree. The Godfather game is just like, so you can make your own character, which is one of the most, I did not realize you could do that.
I did not.
You customize your own character.
Can it be a woman?
No.
Oh.
In fact, this dude kind of, no matter what, just looks Italian. Like you can give him blonde hair, but like no matter like how big you make his nose, how like small you make it, how fucked up his
We
chin
gave you
is,
a character creator, but there's certain.
he just looks Italian. You give him Italian blonde hair, he just looks
Can he
Italian.
change his skin color?
Yeah, but like it doesn't, you can't, like your face just still, I don't know, like it
Like
doesn't.
you're still Italian.
Maybe because I made a guy that we named Mr. Lasagna, so maybe that's the other part of it.
Do people call him that in the game?
No, but he has it. But what's weird is I figured
Mr. Lasagna,
Yeah.
you come to me.
Mr. Lasagna, hey, how many layers do you got? Are you beef and cheese or you just cheese? How's your ricotta doing? Hey, say hello to you. Say hello to your mozzarella for me. Mr. Lasagna.
Anyways, so that's not my Marlon Brando impression, by the way.
Oh, who's an impression of?
Robert De Niro.
Hey,
You know, yeah, actually.
Mr. Lasagna.
Okay, so you play as Mr. Lasagna. I'm playing as Mr. Lasagna.
No, everyone in this game, I don't know if you know this, you always play as Mr. Lasagna.
Lasagna.
Like that's who the character in the Godfather video game is. It's weird. And he talks like Robert De Niro.
Hey, Karim. So the weird part, and also he has a voice actor.
Oh,
So
okay.
you create your own character, but then he
What's Mr. Lasagna sound like?
I'm gonna extort the shit out of your bakery shop. Just keep making your muffins and we won't have a problem.
You should add lasagna to the menu.
yeah.
What is this bakery doing here? Why don't you have any lasagna?
Anyways, well, that's what I was gonna get into. So first off, the weird part is this game came out on the Wii. I'm playing on the PS2, but it also got an Xbox 360
I think it came out
release.
everywhere.
It came out on everything. It was the tail end. It was, I think, 2006,
Yeah.
right after like even King Kong. But the weirdest fucking part is I'm playing on the PS2, but it feels very intentionally designed for the Wii specifically, which is not an experience I've had. Usually you play a game on the Wii that you can tell was designed for other consoles. and they just
Yeah,
kinda
usually
shove
it's the
these
other
things
way
in.
around,
The
right?
reason why it feels that way is there's no punch button. Instead, you target onto somebody by holding L1, and then you flick the analog stick on punch. And to block, you pull back, and you can do the sick dance where you like go back and forth. Not like a literal dance. You can
That
make
sounds so awkward.
fucking awkward as hell. You cannot punch freely unless you are targeting onto something, which makes it very weird when you're just like
But makes perfect sense when you hold a nunchuck.
when
in
you
the
hold
remote
that
and you have to
and
click in on the
use the Wii remote to
That
spin
is
around.
bizarre.
Then you get a gun, and that's when it becomes even more clear, because you can freely aim, but you can when you target onto someone, you can specifically move the reticle like to specific parts of the body, and it feels like you
Like
hold the
with a-
nunchuck
yeah.
down, and you can like then get very specific and granular, and it makes the gunfights feel so awkward and so weird.
So I have to imagine what happened was, because this was still the sort of the tail end of the era of we would make multiple versions for multiple platforms. So like
Generational too.
yeah, exactly. So you have the 360 version, the PS3 version, which I imagine probably plays like a normal video game.
I want to look them up.
I'm curious now. And then maybe they're like, well, we got a Wii version, and then they're like, people still buy PS2s.
Yeah, but
People still play PS2.
still buy
It's
PS2s.
one of the best-selling consoles of all time. We should
You
probably
wouldn't-
put it on there
you
as
wouldn't-
well.
You wouldn't rob a PS2 of a lasagna, would you?
That's what Mr. Lasagna
All
would
those
say.
college kids with the Scarface
those college
poster.
kids, they know Scarface.
They got PS2.
They got PS2s. They got the Fight Club posters. They got the Donnie Darko posters. They gotta have the Tony Montana. They gotta have Mr. Lasagna posters. put the lasagna in your PS2.
So they did that.
Okay.
You know that thing in the back, your PS2, you put your hard drive? That's not for a hard drive, kids.
Oh,
You put lasagna in that.
I mean, you know, it's
Yeah,
it makes
you
sense.
could
Yeah,
slide that lasagna right in.
It's a little hot back there. Keeps it warm.
So the game feels bizarre as hell. Like controlling it is a fucking nightmare
Wow.
because I'm so used to being like, why can't I just press like square to punch? Nope. You gotta flick that analog stick. But now that I mentioned, I haven't checked the options to see if you could change it.
Oh,
I'll do some research tonight.
okay.
Even though I'm pretty sure I'm done playing the game. I'll do it out of curiosity.
You'll find out and go, I'm still not gonna load it.
So, but the thing that I was saying, I was like, this game is just as fucked up. So one, you can like go into businesses and then extort them. And in most cases, when you extort businesses, you can also find that those businesses have like shady deals happening in the back. So like they'll have like, you know, the secret gambling rings or like brothels, and you can like go and find the women in the lingerie doing their thing. So like that's still a thing in the game. But even more surprising, and not like, I don't know, depends on where you stand on this. Like you can take you grab people to extort them and then like beat the shit out of them until they submit to you. And it feels like very weird doing it. And then I mean, like, you know, for me, whatever, I kill people in games. It's my job. Whatever. Everyone has an equal opportunity to die in those games as far as I'm concerned. But I had to go extort this bakery, and like, I don't know, like if people had problems with Grand Theft Auto games, so they're like, hey kid, you can't play Grand Theft Auto, but you can play Godfather, little Jake Decker. But in Godfather, you can like go into a bakery, take a woman who owns the bakery, and like beat the shit out of her until she
extort
submits
them.
and pays you for it. And I was like, this
That's not
feels-
really a thing you do in like those early GTA
yeah.
games.
And I was
really.
like, this feels weird. Like this, this doesn't feel good.
You have gamified extortion.
Yeah, and like, you know, I don't know, like you're just beating up this poor woman who's just making croissants. I like croissants. You could just extort me with croissants. If I walked in and be like, hey, well, I want to make sure your business does good here, so I'm going to come by every day and you give me a croissant and I'm going to pay for it. That's what I want to be able to do. So maybe it's me, maybe it's stupid of me to think I was going to play a Godfather game and like not do horrible acts. But like, I guess the point that I'm trying to make is I absolutely expected to do horrible things. What I did not expect is to hear people younger be like, my mom didn't let me play Grand Theft Auto, but they let me play this. I was like, this shit was no fucking better.
Right.
Like at all.
Do you find that it is like as what's the word, like perverse as the Scarface game, in the sense that
I've never played that
because the Scarface game, we talked about it last time, is weird in that it is like alternate ending of the first movie. Like it goes in completely in the face of the first movie by being like, what if Tony actually lived and rebuilt his
And we
drug
glorified
empire,
this guy.
and he's super cool and awesome actually, and you're like, well, hold on, that's weird. Like does this game like feel like it kind of glorifies it?
Oh, absolutely. I would say Scarface definitely missed the fucking point with that game and glorified Tony Montana.
Yeah.
The weird thing with Godfather is I don't know if those movies necessarily glorify it, but there are people who do kind of see it as this macho masculine way of like, I got to take care of my family, I got to take care of other people. And I think people in a lot of ways
missing the
obviously
point.
miss the
Sure.
maybe miss the, you know, more nuanced point. So of course the Godfather game fucking misses as far as I'm concerned. But I mean, whatever, you know, it's entertainment.
If you want to play, in my opinion, an actually like good Mafia game, you should play Mafia.
I have Mafia at home.
The original.
I haven't played it, but I took it from the bucket.
So
That's my plan, is to be like, I'm done playing
I'm curious.
The Godfather, so I'm gonna play Mafia,
The original one.
the original Mafia.
I have never played the original. I have heard it's a little difficult to go
Okay.
back to.
All right,
As
well,
in,
I'll
like,
be the
there are
test.
some-
I'll be the test.
There
I'll
are
be
some difficulty spikes.
Okay.
But I did play the remake
Mm-hmm.
a few years ago, which was, I would say, a decent, okay video game, but like a very gorgeous, lavishly produced, like interactive Mafia story. Like the cutscenes and the storytelling, I actually thought was really good. But you know, and it's like a decent video game. And normally I'm kind of like not that into that anymore, but for whatever reason at that time I was actually like very into it, and I enjoyed that. And I actually enjoyed that remake quite a bit. So I'm curious how the original holds up.
Last thing, I think I'm quitting the Godfather game because the controls are fucking insane.
Right.
But in order to get like, you have to use the D-pad to scroll through your weapons, but then you have to like press up on the D-pad to take them out, but then like down to put them away. And depending if you have your weapons out, people will react in the world like, oh my God, he's got a weapon. And like, that's cool, but it makes getting into a fight that happens somewhat randomly because families want to fight you.
Oh.
So fucking difficult and so clunky and weird. So I hit my time with that game pretty quickly. So my plan is to now go back and play Mafia, which I never played because it's like, you know.
Well, I think at this point we're hitting all the. Someone's got to play the Scarface game now because
do we have it here?
A good question. I hope we do because I mean, look, we've hit Sopranos. You're hitting Mafia.
I hit Godfather and Mafia.
Yeah, not intentional, by the way. This
No,
somehow has happened.
No, it's like it was basically like Jake Decker mentioned it on the on the podcast as you were talking about Sopranos, and just the next day was like, oh,
are there any other?
Here's Godfather you were mentioning.
I think there were like Mafia-esque crime games we should go play.
Oh, there was like a Mafia CRPG I found.
A Mafia CRPG.
Yeah, like isometric sort of like. I think tactical RPG that I saw.
What, like a Fallout? Like
on Steam, and I was like, I have it wishlisted because I was like, I want to play that.
This is new.
You're
or
like,
is it old?
No, this is like old, and like you basically, it's the same deal where you like extort people and like run a mafia and all that. Apparently the reviews were terrible, but I have it wishlisted just in case. So we'll just do a list and go through all the Mafia games.
Yeah,
like not Mafia the game, but you know.
Yeah.
The brand, the genre.
The genre.
Yeah, of Mafia, or also known as lasagna games.
Lasagna, yes. Yeah. Are you going to name
every character
Mr.
Lasagna?
Even though...
Every time I get the chance, it's going to be Mr. Lasagna.
Mr. Lasagna. All right, well, there you go. I look forward to the furthering adventures of Mr. Lasagna.
Yeah.
And yeah.
That's a podcast.
That's a podcast, baby.
But you can't, but speaking of lasagna, you can't end it without chicken.
Enchilada.
Lasagna.
Hey, thank you so much for listening, everyone. Hope you've all had a wonderful week and a good weekend. We appreciate you. Kurt, I appreciate you.
No, thank you. I appreciate you too.
Yeah. It's nice. It's just nice. Just look at us, just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Fuck you, Jake.
Yeah, let's not invite him back next time.
Yeah,
fuck him.
Yeah, fuck him.
All right. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you all next time.